Everdeen, and today I'm going to share with you how to crochet this spiral sweater. For this project, I'm using size 4 yarn from the brand Mainstays. It is 100% cotton yarn, and I used a total of 5 of these little skeins. And if you're interested in knowing where I got my yarn, I will link it in the description box down below, as well as similar yarns if it's not available in your region. But again, it is linked in the description box down below. For this project, I'm using black and white yarn, but you can use whatever colored yarn you like, as well as whatever yarn that you like. The pattern is the exact same. Also for this project, I'm using a size 5mm hook. Now, to get started, you need to learn how to make a spiral, and for this video I am going to go through it rather quickly, but I'm still going to go over how to make a spiral. However, if it's too fast for you, please go ahead and watch my beginner-friendly step-by-step tutorial specifically on how to make a spiral. But again, I will cover the basics and the pattern itself in this video, but again, if it's too fast for you, I do have a beginner-friendly version on how to make the spiral linked in the description box down below. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to do is grab our color 1. So for me, color 1 is white and color 2 will be black, but again, use whatever colors that you like. And the first thing we're going to do is make a slip knot. Then from there, we're going to chain 4. And after you've chained 4, we're actually going to go into that very first chain that you created with a slip stitch. Now, if you're a complete beginner to crochet, I will also be leaving a Crocheting for Beginners video in the description box down below. So after you have made your little cluster here by going into the first chain that you created with a slip stitch, you are then going to find the center of that little circle, that little cluster that you made, and make 6 double crochets inside of that center. So you're going to find the center stitch and make 6 double crochets inside of that same center stitch. Okay, now that you've completed 6 double crochets, your project should look something like this, kind of like a half circle, which is perfectly fine because we're going to complete the rest of the circle with color number 2. And again, my color number 2 is black, so I'm going to grab my black yarn and make a slip knot. Then I'm going to attach color number 2 to the project with a slip stitch. And after I have attached color number 2 to the project, I am going to again make 6 double crochets, but now using color number 2. And again, I'm going to be making these 6 double crochets inside of that center stitch that we created when we first made our little cluster. So I've completed my 6 double crochets with color number 2, and this is what it looks like together. So a little bit of a half and half situation going on right here. And we're just going to continue with row number 1. So make sure you have a stitch marker for this. In order to start row number 1, you're going to go back to color number 1, which is white for me, and you're going to go into that first stitch using color number 2, which is black for me. So I'm going to make 2 double crochets inside of that first stitch using my white yarn, and I'm going to grab my stitch marker and mark where that first stitch was. And again, you can use whatever you want as a stitch marker. I'm using this little safety pin. You can use an actual crochet stitch marker. You can use a bobby pin. You can use, I don't know, whatever creative thing that you want in order to mark that first stitch. So after you've made those 2 double crochets inside of that first stitch, you're going to continue making 2 double crochets inside of every single stitch on top of color number 2. So now that I have completed the white portion or color number 1 portion of the project, for this half of the row, I'm going to complete the row by doing the exact same pattern, but with color number 2. So I switched over to color number 2, and I'm going to complete the row by making 2 double crochets per stitch until I get to the stitch marker. And this is what the project should start looking like. And once you've reached that stitch marker, you are done with the row, and now we could start with row number 2, which is a slightly different pattern. And from here, for row number 2, you're going to start off the same. You're going to go into the first stitch, and you're going to make 2 double crochets inside of that first stitch. Then you're going to make sure that you mark that first stitch that you made for the new row with your stitch marker. Then continue on with the pattern. And for row number 2, it's going to be 2 double crochets inside of 1 stitch, followed by 1 double crochet inside of 1 stitch, followed by 2 double crochets inside of 1 stitch, followed by 1 double crochet inside of 1 stitch, so it alternates. And yeah, that's going to be in row number 2, so you're going to do the exact same thing, but now with color number 2. So just switch colors, 2 double crochets inside of 1 stitch. Then you're going to make 1 double crochet inside of the next stitch. Then you're going to be making 2 double crochets inside of the stitch after that. So after you completed row number 2, your project should look something like this. And now we could remove the stitch marker and start the next row. So I'm going to switch over to color number 1, make 2 double crochets inside of that first stitch. Then I actually don't need to mark this anymore, but it's fine. You can if you want to. The pattern for row number 3 is a 1-1-2, so essentially, well, it's more like a 2-1-1. Essentially, you start the row with making 2 double crochets inside of 1 stitch, similar to what I'm doing right now. So 2 double crochet inside 1 stitch. Then you're going to make 1 double crochet inside of the next stitch, followed by 1 double crochet inside of the stitch after that. And then you're going to go back to making 2 double crochets inside of 1 stitch for the next stitch. And then after you made those 2 double crochets in 1 stitch, you're going to make 1 double crochet in the next stitch, as well as 1 double crochet in the stitch after that. Then 2 double crochets in the stitch after that. Then 1 double crochet, followed by another 1 double crochet, followed by a 2 double crochet inside 1 stitch. So again, it's a 2-1-1 pattern, and this is what the project should look like so far. And now all we need to do is complete the row by switching to color number 2 and following that exact same pattern. This is what the project should look like now that you've completed all of the different patterns for each row, and now all you have to do is follow that exact same pattern all around. So now instead of working to the end of the stitch marker, you're just going to work to the end of the row. So right now I'm working with the black yarn. I'm going to continue working my way down until I reach the last stitch of the row here. Then I'm going to switch colors and then go all around in a circle, then switch colors and go all around in a circle, then switch colors, so on and so forth. Continue with that same pattern, that way you are increasing the number of stitches per row as the project gets larger and larger and larger, and your project should look something like this. And this is what the project looks like after a few more rows following that exact same pattern, and I'm just going to keep on going until I'm happy with the size of it. And in order for you to know if you're happy with the size of it, you're pretty much going to put it against your stomach, and once it covers your midsection, then you're good to go and ready for the next step. And again, the spiral itself should only cover your midsection, not your entire torso, because in order to make it fit your entire torso, we actually need to turn this spiral into a square shape. And if the spiral is already as big as your torso, your sweater is going to be way too big. So again, just put it against your stomach, and as long as it covers your midsection, then that's when you know that you're ready to go and ready to turn this circular project into a square project. Now, if you're curious to how many rows I made a total of 12 rows to make up the spiral, and after I made my 12 rows, I was happy with how it fit on my stomach. So it was time for me to make the project a square, and in order to make this spiral a square, we're going to add corners. Now count the number of stitches that you have in your spiral, and it should be divisible by 4. If not, you're gonna have to go back and make sure to either add or take away some stitches here and there so that the total number of stitches you have going around that last row that you have is divisible by 4, and once it is, you're going to divide that number by 4, and then however many it is, that's the number you're going to use to make your corner stitches. So the total number of stitches for my project is 116, and 116 divided by 4 is 29. So for every 29th stitch I come across, I'm going to make a corner piece. But again, it might be different for you. So again, as long as your total number is divisible by 4, then you're good to go. If not, all you have to do is either add a stitch here and there to make it divisible by by 4 or take away a stitch here and there to make it divisible by 4. As long as you have a total of stitches in your last row that is divisible by 4, then you're good. So again, mine was 116 stitches. Divided by 4 is 29. So from the area where I just left off, I'm going to crochet 28 stitches, and then on the 29th stitch, I'm going to make a corner piece. Then I'm going to crochet another 28 stitches, then on that 29th stitch, I'm going to make a corner piece, and I'm going to do that 4 times. So again, I'm going to start where I left off using the black yarn, and I'm going to crochet 28 double crochets, 1 inside every single stitch, and then once I get to the 29th stitch, that's when I'm going to make a corner piece. So this is the 29th stitch right here, and I'm going to make a total of 3 double crochets inside of this 1 stitch. So this is my 3rd double crochet, then I'm going to chain 1, then make another set of 3 double crochets inside of the same exact stitch. So every corner piece is going to be made up of 3 double crochets, followed by a chain 1, followed by another 3 double crochets, all inside of the same stitch. And that's what a corner piece will be from here on end. So from here, I'm going to repeat the process. I'm going to double crochet until the 29th stitch, and then I'm going to make a corner piece, and then I'm going to double crochet until the 29th stitch, and then I'm going to make another corner piece, and then I'm going to crochet until the 29th stitch and make another corner piece until I have gone all around the circle and made a total of 4 corners, making a square, or what's supposed to look like a square, even though it's going to look round still. But anywho, so here I am crocheting until my 29th stitch, and once I reach the 29th stitch, that's when I'm going to make another corner piece. And again, when I say a corner piece is made up of 3 double crochets inside of 1 stitch. So 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 3 double crochet, all inside 1 stitch, followed by a chain 1, then another set of 3 double crochets inside of the same exact stitch. So it's 2 double crochet and 3 double crochet, all inside 1 stitch, and that makes up a corner piece, and it should look something like this. So again, this is what your project should start looking like. Still relatively round, but you have those corner pieces, and once we build upon those corner pieces, then the project will become more and more square-like. So from this corner piece, I'm going to double crochet my way down to the next corner piece, which is 29 stitches away, or I guess 28 stitches away, and then the 29th stitch is the corner piece. And again, the number of stitches is going to be different for everyone unless you have a total of 116 total stitches in your last row like me. But if you have a different number, again, all you have to do is divide it by 4 and then go off of that. For example, if you had a total of 120 chains, then you would divide that by 4, and you would have to make a corner piece every 30 stitches as opposed to every 29 stitches like me, and so on and so forth. Now, the trickiest corner piece that you're going to make is the one that you're going to make when you get back to the end of the row, just because you kind of have to make sure that the color underneath does not unravel. So make sure that when you're making the corner piece, you're holding on to the loop of the second color underneath your color piece. Like I'm holding on to the white yarn right here so it doesn't unravel underneath the corner piece. But yeah, this is what the project should look like. Again, very round, but once we build upon those corners, it's going to become more and more square, so don't worry about that. And what we do from here is, again, build upon our pattern, and it's super duper easy. You're just going to go around and around and around, making double crochets into every single stitch, except the middle of every corner piece. Inside of the middle of every corner piece, you're going to make another corner piece, and that's it. So grab your second color. For mine, it is white, and start making your double crochets, working your way down to your next corner piece. And once you've reached your corner piece, that's when you're going to make another corner piece on top of the previous row's corner piece. And you're going to double crochet all the way up to, again, the middle opening of that corner piece. And once you're there, you're going to go into that opening and make another corner piece. So 3 double crochets inside of that same opening, followed by a chain 1, then another set of 3 double crochets inside of that same opening. And once you have completed that, you have made yet another corner piece within the previous row's corner piece, and that is the pattern. That is the rest of the pattern for this portion of the project. So you're going to keep doing this, keep switching colors, keep double crocheting until you get to the next corner piece, and then make another corner piece on top of the previous row's corner piece, so on and so forth, until you are happy with the size of the torso portion of this project. So beforehand, when it was just a spiral, you want it to just cover your midsection. However, now you want it to cover your entire torso, pretty much from your neck all the way down to your hips, or lower, or a little bit shorter if you want to, depending on how you want this to fit. I wanted mine to fit slightly oversized, so I just kept going until I liked the way that it looked on me when I pressed it against my body. So if you want it cropped, you can make less. If you want it longer, you can make more. It's going to be different for everyone based on their size and preference. But yeah, all you just have to do is keep going with this pattern, making double crochets and then making corner pieces on top of the previous row's corner pieces, and then just continuing with your double crochets until you are happy with the size of your project. So this is what the project looks like after almost 2 rows of following that corner piece pattern and switching from the black to the white. And then here's what it looks like after completing that second row with the white. And I'm just going to switch back to the black and follow the exact same pattern. And after I'm done with that row using the black yarn, I'm going to switch back to the white yarn, then switch back to the black yarn, and so on and so forth, following that exact same pattern until I am happy with what the project looks like and how it fits me when I press it against myself as if I were going to wear it. And I wanted to show you some clips of some of the progress because, again, it did start off looking pretty round still after we initially made those corner pieces, but as you keep going, you can see that it's starting to look more and more square. And by the time you've done probably like 5 rows using the corner piece pattern, it's going to look like a square. So just keep on going, and don't worry if it looks too round in the beginning. It will eventually start looking more and more like a square. So again, after you are happy with the size of your project, then you can move on to the next step. Your project should look something like this, and if you're curious, I made a total of 21 rows. Actually, wait, it's a total of 21 rows including the spiral, but I made a total of 7 rows using the corner piece pattern. So from the spiral, I made another 7 rows using the corner piece pattern. And then I was happy with how the project turned out. And once you reach this point of the project, this next step is optional. So again, we're working on the torso pieces of the sweater, and you can just attach the torso pieces as they are, as squares, to make a sweater, or you could add these little towers at the top of the squares to wrap around your shoulder to make it more of like a slouchier fit, which I like. So that's why I go ahead and take these extra steps to make these little towers. And all you have to do to make these little towers is just crochet on either side of the project and leave space in the middle, and that's pretty much how you make these little towers. And since we're using a striped pattern, then you have to alternate the color every row, and that's essentially it. So I just, from the corner of the project, I just double crocheted 25 stitches towards the middle, and then just crocheted within those 25 stitches until I made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, until I made 10 rows, and it was able to wrap around my shoulder. So again, I'm just working within those 25 stitches only on one side, leaving that middle nice and empty because that middle is going to be where my head goes. So make sure that you have space for your head. And it's okay if it's a little bit too big because we're actually going to close it up with a few rows of single crochet later, unless you want it to be kind of like this off the shoulder kind of sweater, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Again, this is totally optional. You can just attach the 2 squares together at the top if you don't want to make this, but if you do want to make this, this is how to do it. You just crochet 25 double crochets from one end of your square project towards the middle, and then once you've reached that 25th double crochet, you're going to chain one, flip the project over, and then start a new row going back on those 25 stitches that you just made with another row of double crochet. And then once you reach the end of that row, you're going to do the same thing, chain one, flip the project over, switch colors, and then make a new row of 25 double crochets until you reach the end, and then chain one, flip the project over, switch the colors, and keep going until this portion of the project can wrap around your shoulder. And once it can, then you do the exact same thing on the other side. So you could either just crochet your way across to the other side and then do the exact same thing on the other side, or you could just detach the yarn from the yarn ball and then reattach it to the other side of the project and then make your little tower the exact same way. And this is what the little tower should look like. Just a few rows of double crochet. And once you're done with both sides, then you could go ahead and repeat the entire process all over again, starting from making the spiral to the square to the tower if you want to. And once you've crocheted that all over again, you should have 2 of these. And now you can move on to the next portion of the project, which is making the sleeves. Now the sleeves are so much easier than the torso portion of the project because all the sleeves are just rows and rows of double crochet. Now, the beginning of making the sleeves is the most important because it's going to be the width of your sleeves. So you're going to make a slip knot, then make a chain of however many chains it takes for you to be happy with the width of your sleeve. And again, it's not going to be the length of your sleeve, it's going to be the width of your sleeve. So you're going to wrap this chain around the largest part of your arm and then go from there. So to the very least, this chain should be able to comfortably wrap around the largest part of your arm. Do not measure it at your wrist, do not measure it at your forearm, unless again that is the largest part of your arm, but typically you should measure it around your bicep because that's probably going to be the largest part of your arm. And then from there you could decide how much space you want away from your arm, whether you want it to be nice and tight, whether you want it to be like a flare sleeve, whether you want it to be baggy, anywhere in between or above or below that. That's how many chains you're going to make for your sleeve. Now I want mine a little bit baggy, so that's why I made my chain much wider than what it would take for it to just properly wrap around my arm. So for me, I actually made a total of 50 chains for my sleeve, and once I was done with my chain, I went back on that chain with double crochet using the same color. So I started off with black yarn, and I'm just going to make my first row with black yarn as well, and it's just double crochet all the way to the end of the row, and once I reach the end of the row, that's when I'm going to switch colors. So again, this is what it should look like once you start making some double crochets on top of the chain that you created for your sleeve. And this is what it looks like once you've made your first row of double crochet using your first color. Now we are going to switch colors, so I'm going to grab my white yarn and just attach it to the project from where I left off, and then I'm going to start my new row of double crochet with my second color, or I guess color number 1. I know it's kind of confusing because originally color number 1 was white, but now I started off with black. Anywho, doesn't really matter. You're just going to alternate from one color to the next every single row and just make rows and rows of double crochet until you have made your project long enough to fit from your wrist to your shoulder. So it's going to take quite a while for me from here. But I'm just, again, making rows and rows and rows of double crochet, making sure that I switch the color every row. And this is what the project looks like so far. So it pretty much just covers my wrist, and I'm just going to keep on going, keep on making those rows and rows of double crochet, trying it on and seeing my progress. I'm a little less than halfway done here, and once I've finally completed however many rows I need in order for it to cover from my wrist to my shoulder, then I just need to attach the 2 ends together, which I totally forgot to film, by the way. I just realized that right now. But essentially, you're going to put the 2 ends of the project together and then slip stitch from one end to the other. Super duper easy. And then the project should wrap around your arm like this and create a sleeve. And if you actually need like a visual for that, I will link another crochet cardigan video in the description box down below, as well as give you the timestamp to where I show you how to attach the sleeves together. Actually, I'll give you a timestamp on how to attach everything together, because this part is probably the most confusing part of the entire project, is just attaching everything together. If you've never done this before, oh my gosh, it's gonna be so hard. But if you've done this before, not a big deal. But if it's your first time, oof. Especially working with black yarn here, it's going to be hard for you to see. But yes, after you've completed crocheting your 2 torso pieces as well as your 2 sleeves, this is how you're going to attach everything together. So pretend that this is your torso piece, and pretend that 2 of them are stacked on top of each other. You're going to attach the 2 pieces at the top and at the sides, but make sure that you leave space for the sleeve. So you're only going to be attaching the pieces right here at the top, right here on the side, leaving these areas open for the sleeves. Now, when you attach the sleeves, that's when it gets a little bit difficult. So there's 2 sides to the sleeves. There's, I guess, a front and a back. I know it's round, but just think of it as front and back. You're going to attach the front of the sleeve to the front of the torso piece, so the front torso piece, and then the back of the sleeve to the back of the torso piece, or the back torso piece only. Make sure that you don't accidentally close off your sleeve or attach the back of the sleeve to the front of the torso piece, vice versa. So just make sure that you're attaching everything correctly. And again, if you need to actually visually see how I attach everything, I do have a crochet cardigan tutorial that shows you how to attach the sleeves, which is again the most complicated part, and I'll leave that linked in the description box down below, along with the timestamp to where it's just attaching the sleeves, so you don't have to like watch the whole video. But yeah, I tried filming my progress here, but you can't see anything. Again, I'm working with black yarn. It's like so hard to see on camera, so I would highly suggest, if you need a visual, to go check out that video. And again, it's linked in the description box down below. But if you have an idea on how to attach the sleeves already, then we can move on. I am currently attaching the top of the towers right now, so the top of the torso pieces. Now, I did mention earlier that you don't have to make the towers if you don't want to, and if you didn't and your project is still just a square, all you have to do is just attach the 2 squares together at the top, but making sure that you leave room for your head. So just make as many slip stitches as you need to reach the middle of the project, from the side to the middle, and then the other side to the middle, leaving the actual middle portion of the project open for your head. And then same thing, you want to attach the sides of the project, leaving room for the sleeves, and then you attach the sleeves the exact same way. So the only difference is the lack of towers, but you just attach the 2 square pieces at the top anyway, just without the towers. Okay, so this is me attaching the sleeve. Again, I'm trying my best to make sure that I attach the front portion of the torso piece to the front portion of the sleeve only, and this is another reason why I like making the towers, just because it's a little bit easier to differentiate where the torso piece is and where the sleeve is. But again, if you did not make the tower pieces, just make sure that you're not closing off the sleeve, and you make sure that you attach the front of the sleeve to the front of the torso piece and the back of the sleeve to the back of the torso piece, and you don't mix those up. And this is what the project looks like so far, and this is what it looks like once everything is finally attached, which again is the most complicated part to explain, but I think you can understand how to do it. Like, just align everything as if it was already assembled, and then pinpoint the portions of the project where you want them to actually be attached to, and then just attach them with a slip stitch. Like, it's really easy to know what to do, but just really hard to explain for me for some reason. I have no idea why. Anywho, the only thing left to do now is fix the neckline. Now, if you want this project to be kind of like this off the shoulder, kind of cute looking fit, which I did really think about leaving it like this because it does look really cute, but I figured whenever I wear this sweater, it's gonna be cold. I'm not gonna want a cold shoulder out, even though it does again look really, really cute. So you could either leave it like this if you left enough like room to do this. I accidentally made too much room in between, so instead of making 25 stitches for my towers, I probably should have made more to close this off a little bit, but that's okay. I could just close it off myself by making a few rows of single crochet So along the neck portion only, I'm going to make a few rows of single crochet, switching colors every 2 rows. So because double crochet is taller than a single crochet, I actually need to make 2 rows of each color in order for it to like match the rest of the stripes. So I grabbed my white yarn, made 2 rows of single crochet all around the neck portion only, then made 2 rows of single crochet using the black, and I also decreased every row, so every 12 stitches I skipped a stitch, making it so that there's less stitches per row and making it smaller and smaller as I went on. And that again closed off my neck hole a little bit to make a little collar, and now my sweater is no longer a like off the shoulder fit. It is a full on covered sweater, which I really like, and it's perfect for fall and winter time. And after you have completed that, if you needed to, you are completely done crocheting your spiral sweater. I know it was a journey. It took me all October long to complete this. Granted, I was very busy this Halloween season, so I was just working on this here and there little by little, and that's why it took me so dang long. But if you were to sit down and just focus on doing this, it definitely should not take you a month. So don't be discouraged by all the steps, all the crocheting. It's definitely worth it because it turned out so good. I just wish that it didn't take me all October long to make this, because now I have to wait until next year to wear this for Halloween time. But that's okay. It's still a perfectly adorable, super cool sweater for fall and winter, and I definitely will be wearing it and styling it. And if you want to see that, please go ahead and follow me on Instagram and TikTok, both are at Krystal Everdeen. It's a fun time and I would love to see you there. If you enjoyed this video, found it interesting, entertaining, or helpful, please give a big thumbs up before you go. And if you love crochet, I have so many crochet related videos on my channel, ranging from beginner friendly to more advanced to crochet with me, crochet ideas, and so much more. So go ahead and check that out, and don't forget to click that red subscribe button if you have not already, so I can see you next time. Bye! And have a magical day, as well as a happy Halloween!